While hunting in the mountains, the man accidentally picked up a piece of leopard droppings. Then he quickly placed the pig intestines from his bag beside the fresh footprints. Afterward, he covered them with dry branches and weeds and hid not far away waiting for prey. However, before the leopard appeared, he unexpectedly discovered a cluster of priceless herbs on the shady slope. So he hurried to the supply store to sell them. The buyer took one look and realized they were the finest and rarest herbs of excellent age. He then weighed them and saw there were clearly more than 2 pounds. With a casual wave of his hand, he paid the man $3,000. After that, the man rushed home in a panic and told his wife to hide the money carefully. Right afterward, he turned around and smashed his mother's wash basin into pieces. Then he kicked over the heavy iron pot on the stove, completely determined to split the family from his parents. In truth, he was not a cold-hearted or heartless person. It was because in his previous life the young man had been the most famous hunter in the village. For years he supported the entire extended family through hunting. Yet he listened to his parents far too much and was deeply controlled by their preference for sons over daughters. So he forced his own daughters to drop out of school early and work. Meanwhile, he desperately earned money to support his nephew through school. But in the end, after working himself sick, he was cruelly thrown into a pigsty by his own family. His younger brother and nephew not only showed no gratitude but even beat him mercilessly. Only then did he learn that the deaths of his wife and daughters back then were not accidents. They had actually been murdered by his elder brother and third brother. Thinking of this, he was filled with unbearable regret and pain. In the end, he coughed up blood and died with deep hatred in his heart. Yet in the very next moment, he was suddenly reborn 30 years in the past. At that time, his wife and 2 daughters were working hard in the fields. Meanwhile, the nephew was sitting comfortably nearby doing his homework in leisure. When his mother saw him sitting idly in the chair instead of going hunting, she immediately slapped him and cursed that he deserved to have no son. She also scolded him for being lazy and unwilling to earn money. Then another fierce slap came flying toward him. Angrily, the young man grabbed her wrist and flung his mother aside. In his previous life, his foolish loyalty and blind obedience had killed his wife and daughters. Now that heaven had given him another chance, he would never repeat the same tragic mistakes again, nor would he allow those ungrateful parasites to enjoy the fruits of his labor. His mother stared at the usually timid young man in disbelief. Then she immediately began rolling on the ground and screaming loudly. Hearing the cries, his elder brother and younger brother also came out of the house. His mother acted as if she had found a life-saving straw, instantly accusing the young man of daring to hit her. His wife hurried forward to defend him, but she was harshly scolded by her vicious mother-in-law. The elder brother even demanded that the young man sell his 2 daughters for money to compensate their mother. Unable to tolerate it any longer, the young man fiercely talked back. He sternly warned them that from now on no one was allowed to insult his wife or daughters again, otherwise he would not show them any mercy. Then he walked to his father and declared that he wanted to divide the family and live separately with his wife and daughters. The prideful father immediately called everyone back into the house, claiming that he would judge the matter fairly. The young man looked at this incompetent father with killing intent in his eyes, because in his previous life he had been deceived by that so-called fairness. All the money he earned with great hardship had been given first to his nephew, yet his own daughters had not even eaten a full meal. In this life he would definitely give his wife and daughters the best possible life. The most urgent task now was to escape this hellish home, so he firmly repeated that he wanted to split the family and everyone should live their own lives. This made his father slam the table in anger. His mother also scolded him as an ungrateful white-eyed wolf. The young man could not help but laugh angrily at her words. For so many years his elder brother and younger brother had been lazy and useless. All the family expenses were earned by him alone. Even the household chores were done entirely by his wife and daughters. Everything the family ate, wore, and used came from his hunting in the mountains, yet they shamelessly called him an ungrateful wolf. Seeing that the young man seemed like a completely different person today, his mother assumed that the daughter-in-law must be stirring trouble, so she ordered her eldest son to teach the daughter-in-law a lesson. Unexpectedly, the young man kicked his elder brother directly. Then he grabbed a sickle and prepared to fight him desperately. Only when his father offered to discuss conditions did the young man calm down slightly. Thinking that simply dividing the family would be far too cheap for these heartless wolves, he immediately demanded $500. And since he needed to hunt more before heavy snow sealed the mountains to gather supplies, his elder brother and younger brother must leave home to work and support the family. The 2 men instantly refused with dissatisfaction, but the father feared that if the family truly split they might not even have enough food to eat, so he reluctantly agreed to the young man's demands. Afterward, the young man followed his usual routine and went hunting in the back mountain. Before long, he caught a wild pheasant. Just as he was about to head home, he suddenly remembered that in his previous life a hunter had dug up precious herbs around here. That hunter sold them for several $1,000s and bought a house in the county town. So he quickly set down his bamboo basket and searched everywhere. Hard work finally paid off. Soon he discovered the valuable herb hidden among thick weeds, thinking about how he once worked desperately to fund his nephew's education. Yet that same nephew had been the first to drive him out when he became weak and sick. The young man secretly swore that in this life he would buy a house in the city and let his 2 daughters receive the best education. However, the moment he returned home, he saw his mother ordering his wife to wash clothes and cook. She even demanded that he sell the 2 daughters for money. Furious with humiliation, the young man grabbed the wash basin and smashed it heavily onto the ground. Then he kicked over the iron pot on the stove. He sternly warned his mother never to bully his wife again, after saying that he took his wife's hand and returned to their room. Yet his wife was badly frightened by his sudden actions, because in 15 years of marriage he had never spoken a single word in her defense. He had even believed it was her duty to serve the entire family. The young man knew that anything he said now would mean little. He only asked her to give him 2 days. This time he would never let her down again. Then he gently pulled her to the outer room to eat. Seeing his nephew happily eating a chicken drumstick, the young man felt furious, so he immediately snatched the drumstick and gave it to his 2 daughters. He left only 2 bowls of of chicken soup for his parents, and said that honoring them with this was already reasonable. Anyone else with healthy hands and feet had no right to eat the prey he hunted. The protective sister-in-law immediately began shouting insults angrily. When he heard her insulting his wife and daughters, the young man instantly gave her a terrifying warning, frightening the sister-in-law so badly that she knelt on the ground trembling. When he returned to the room and saw his wife and daughters devouring the food hungrily, he finally realized how deeply he had failed them. So he silently vowed to buy a house in the city as soon as possible, and separate completely from this group of cruel demons. The next day he took the herbs to a shop. As soon as the owner heard he had rare goods, he brought him into the inner room. The moment the owner saw the herbs, his eyes lit up brightly. He immediately paid the young man $3,000, but that was still far from enough to buy a house. Seeing that he urgently needed money, the boss said he had a big job and asked whether the young man had the courage to take it. After receiving the money, the young man pulled his wife back into their room. He handed her the $3,000 and told her to hide it carefully, and never let those greedy wolves discover it. Unexpectedly, this scene was seen by his younger brother's wife. She immediately turned around and told the mother-in-law about it. Taking advantage of the young man's absence while he was hunting in the mountains, the mother-in-law blocked the woman at the door and demanded to know what was hidden inside the room. When the woman refused to answer, she ordered her 2 sons to smash the door lock open. The woman desperately broke free from her mother-in-law's grasp and rushed in front of them, refusing to let them open the door. The enraged elder brother instantly lost his temper. He grabbed a brick and viciously swung it toward the woman. At that moment, she was truly in grave danger.